Right. Hi, all. Kinsey Schofield here, and I'm with royal author and all around, can I say this on YouTube? Badass Robert Jobson. I'm so excited.
Am I really a badass? Oh my goodness.
You've got such a great history and track record with your royal reporting. And so as the last few days have been unfolding, I've been so eager to talk to you and to hear your thoughts. Now, were you shocked? I'm just going to jump right into it. Were you shocked to see Princess Diana's family show up to support Prince Harry? How did we not suggest this? How did we not expect this?
Well, number one, they keep themselves, really, and it was never really put out there that they were going to be there. But it was a great moment, I think, when it showed that, as Earl Spencer said, and I was in there when he said it at Diana's funeral, the blood family would be there to support, her blood family would be there to support these two young men. And there he is supporting Harry. I'm not sure William would have thought about it, but of course there is Lady Jane Fellows there as well, but she used to be married to Lord Fellows. So was she there as a sort of, counterweight? I don't know. But Earl Spencer certainly has had his run-ins with the Windsor family. And even though he was the late Queen's godson, he just went for it at the funeral, which I think he was entitled to do. And I think Harrison got an ally in his uncle.
That's so interesting. And yeah, I remember, of all of the books I've read, there was a lot of clashing between Diana and Lady Jane Fellows because of her position. She was kind of torn between her husband and Diana.
A bit unfair, actually, because actually Jane, out of all of them, I don't think there was an awful lot of clashing. There may have been in some of the American books, but Jane is a very sensible woman. She was married to Lord Fellows, of course, and Lord Fellows was the Queen's private secretary. But she was always very loyal to her sister, always, and very loyal to William and Harry. And she used to live just down the bottom of the road from Kensington Palace in a little place called the Old Barracks. And Harry often used to just disappear off there and go and see Auntie Jane, or and he'd just disappear sometimes without his bodyguards. And the bodyguards get a report that the little ginger boy was wandering down the high street in the record shop all on his own. He'd been given a radio, I think came off by old friend who wrote Closely Guarding Secret with me. And he was given a radio, and obviously he wasn't checking in. But he'd gone down to see Lady Jane. And then, of course, after that, he said, "Jane, is Harry with you?" And she went, "No, he was coming back to the police station." "Oh, I don't think he's here." So then they found him wandering down the high street, eventually going back in. So that would be quite fun, wouldn't it? That story. No one even recognised him in the public, and they managed to get him back. So I think she is somebody that's always been loyal to Diana, always been loyal to Harry. And I think that was more about lending support to him. It was a big event yesterday. There was a lot of important people. There was Rishi Sunak's wife. There was big players there, because the Invictus Games, even though he sort of borrowed it from the Warrior Games, it's been a real success and a really important thing, and helped a lot of guys, a lot of girls that have, needed help from, and so he's got a lot of respect for that. Look, I think it was fair that the Spencers were there, but it did, in the same church where Charles married Diana all those years ago. It's quite a story, really.
I agree. I guess one question I would ask you is, does this make Prince Harry look more like Princess Diana, especially to the American public? Does this cater to the victimhood narrative? Does this make Harry look like the black sheep that, Harry specifically, his spokesperson tells us Prince Charles is too busy to see him, and in swoops Princess Diana's family to the rescue?
It's a great narrative. I think that the king is only just coming back to public facing duties. I'm not sure there was an official approach by Harry's people. That they may well spin that. I don't think there was. I think that there's certainly been no snub here. Harry knew that he's coming in. It was a big event, and the king's got a big event. I mean, the king wears two hats, and one of them's a crown. So at the end of the day, he has to do his duty first. I'm a bit surprised there wasn't enough time in the window of 15 minutes, but maybe just the last time he took it upon himself to come after the news of his father's cancer, which I think was a very, touching thing to do, as his dad said. But he wasn't invited, and I think at the moment the king is just steadily rebuilding his health. Probably doesn't need any emotional heart-to-hearts with his son. And Harry, he's always worn his heart on his sleeve. And also, if you start doing that, what will then William think, and what will Camilla think? Both have been deeply insulted and frankly slandered by Harry. And also we've had Catherine also been, through the Scobie book, said, to be a racist along with the king. So a lot of dark things have gone on, a lot of dark things. And so if you start then saying, okay, everything's forgiven, Harry, that might then upset the balance or the dynamic with the other members of the family. And I'm sure that the king is very wary of someone who's been, attacking the family, to then just be embraced, even though he loves him, would then upset everybody else, perhaps.
Yeah, he's put in a very difficult position. I guess, in my opinion, I feel like what looked great for Prince Harry stateside, because aside from, like you said, showcasing Invictus and all of the great work that truly is,
and it is, and it truly is. It truly is. That's the point.
Yeah, I think it almost legitimizes
it just
some
looks
of.
wrong, doesn't it, kids? There's your son, less than a few kilometres away, and you're sipping tea in a diplomatic tent, chatting to strangers, and your son's down the road, at St Paul's Cathedral, the national church, doing something really quite special. I mean, I was at the launch of the Invictus Games way back, a decade ago, and there was William and the king sitting next to him, at that launch. So, he's come a long way, and you do feel if things were different, that William would have definitely been there. Harry would have definitely, been at the garden party even, but the rift still exists.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. Were you surprised Meghan Markle didn't come? I kind of was when we were under the impression that there would be no senior members of the royal family. I thought surely Meghan would be there to show support for Prince Harry. When they're together, she is typically very physically affectionate and physically supportive of him.
I think that's an incredibly good point. I mean, I thought he looked kind of lonely figure going up the steps, and there's large steps and steep steps of St Paul's Cathedral. And I think really, Camilla has shown that how important it is to have a good wife at your side with the king over the last difficult period of time. And they've really been together. You see, William has been a great support to Catherine. I just think they would be right. Meghan, she's always at these events. She's always in or around the Invictus Games and us backing him up. And it would have been nice for him, I would have thought, if she had been there. I think that she was probably quite wary of perhaps the reaction. But also they're in the middle of this fight, aren't they, about security and him saying he feels his wife's not safe, can't bring his children. And maybe that was something to do with it, because if she turned up and it was perfectly all right, as it probably would be anyway, that might undermine his case about getting his security paid for.
I have such a bizarre question. So you just talked about how important Camilla has been to the king, and you're right. I mean, she's been a comforting figure. She's been so stoic throughout this process and has turned a lot of people around. They really support her because they've seen the way she's kind of carried a lot of the weight over the last few months, and not one complaint. She is just graceful and executes. Do you see any similarities in Queen Camilla and Meghan Markle? Could Meghan turn her life around, public perception around, and, through her actions, and change people's opinions of her?
Well, the one
is that
thing
even a possibility?
I hear what you say, but the one thing that Camilla never did is one thing that Meghan Markle did, and one thing through all of the bad times she had, she never said a word. She never spoke publicly about anything. All these claims that she had bread rolls thrown at her, which is nonsense, by the way. That was an actress set up by a tabloid as a sort of sting. That never actually happened, that bread roll throwing. So she never said anything. She just got on with it, And I think that I know Camilla, the Queen, Her Majesty, and I think she's a stoic figure, and she just gets on with it, rather than like the Duke of Edinburgh who used to just get on with it. And that's what's likable about her. She's a very likable person. She's got a great character, and she's not looking for anybody to like her. To be honest, she's just going to live her life. Now, if Meghan spends her life worried about whether she's liked or not, she's going to, and invariably you're going to end up getting disappointed because some people like you, some people don't. I mean, that's just the way it is. Can she turn herself around, Meghan, in the UK? I doubt it. Actually, I doubt it.
I mean, I think what you made a really good point right there, though, and Meghan not showing up, if it's not a security issue, is likely because she is so concerned about people disliking
Well, she was
her.
booed last time with Harry. This time it was universal. It was all cheers for Harry. So no, I don't think that she should really be that concerned about a few boos. I mean, it would just be nice for Harry to have his wife alongside him, and maybe if they brought the kids, maybe, I don't know, then that would be more chance of reconciliation with Dad, because I'm pretty sure he'd make time to see Archie and Lilibet.
Absolutely. Now, there were some reports through the Daily Mail, friends of the king suggesting that it wasn't necessarily a scheduling conflict. It was that and you said something similar a few minutes ago, it was that he doesn't want the drama. He just wants some peace right now, and he wants to focus on what he's able to accomplish in his legacy. Is it interesting to you that Prince Harry is now speaking so transparently about the king's schedule through a spokesperson to the Telegraph?
Look, the bottom line is that if he really shouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
That's the way you start build trust, because by saying he couldn't find time for me, he's saying I was snubbed by the king, and the whole circus carries on. But saying nothing, just let them all discuss it themselves and get it wrong, as most of them did. Some of them writing that they would definitely meet, and I knew they wouldn't go to meet, because at the end of the day, he's got a lot to make up for, Harry, and I think the king, doesn't need emotion at the moment or heated heart to hearts. He just needs to do his job and go home and rest, listen to his music, and just carry on and just rebuilding his strength. And he doesn't want to do all this emotional stuff, and also he's going to stay loyal to the ones who are loyal to him.
Absolutely. Do you feel like, because the American media is very doom and gloom right now when it comes to not only the king but the Princess of Wales, do you think that they're fixating on the negative too much? Are you hearing good news about both of them?
Certainly the king, good news. Not hearing anything about Catherine. I mean, I've tried. I've got, writing. I've finished, just signed off on a book, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, that Simon & Schuster will be putting out in America. Nope, there is no more information on her. I'm just hoping and praying that she's going to be okay. She's a young woman, and hopefully they're doing everything they can to make sure she's okay. But, I think that one should not underestimate the stress that she's been put under. I think that the claims of racism were abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. It seems to be something that people think they can sling around, and it's just not right. It's just not right. So, and it's just not true. Either the king or the Catherine are racist. But I think that would have probably taken its toll.
Well, to me, that's what was the most frustrating about the statement that we got from Prince Harry's team, that they wanted to end speculation by telling us that the king's schedule did not permit the meeting between Harry and the king.
You want to end speculation by saying the king snubbed us.
Yeah, but also you're willing to end speculation here over something so irrelevant, truly. But why didn't you end speculation when Omid Scobie's Endgame leaked? Why wasn't that a priority for you?
I don't know. I think that because they wanted it to roll around, I don't know. I think it was a pretty awful thing to do, though, because you see, it's a terrible, slur against people, and then to come out and say that Meghan never said this, Meghan never said that, and it's all to do with, bias, inherent bias, what it is. I just think it was a very dangerous game to play, and I don't think the royal family have recovered from it. I think there's still a lot of people think they're an outdated, old-fashioned racist, classist institution, which I really don't think is fair.
Yeah, it's really not. And I'm glad you said all of that because I think it's really important. You label someone racist and that sticks to you like glue. You know, it's really hard to shake off such a hateful
We've
term.
all had trolls, and I just, to be honest, it's more of a duck's back to me now. But I do think that when you're dealing with someone like Catherine, the Princess of Wales, she would find that very hurtful.
Absolutely. Are you excited for Harry's fake trip, fake royal tour of Nigeria? I
No,
know you're ready to go. You're thrilled.
no, if you wanted any of the media that are actually going to write from the perspective of the truth, then he would have told everyone when it was, and everyone could have got their working visas to cover to cover it. I mean, I've covered most of these things over the years, like Australia, all over the place. But he clearly didn't want any of the British media there. Otherwise, he would have announced it earlier because there's no way they can get a visa to work as a journalist in Nigeria in the time limit they got. They can possibly get a tourist visa, but they're in danger of being arrested. So there won't be any British media there. That's not a snub by the British media. It's they didn't let anybody know, so therefore you can't just get your visas. Now, I'm sure that
That's
they'll be
crazy. That's crazy
filed.
because what you just said is that they have now ensured that they're going to get this just positive, glowing Nigerian news pumping out of this country, and we all have to accept it as fact and
This is
regurgitate it.
a country with, Nigeria. It's not exactly the most, democratic nation in the world. So, let's be honest about these things. I just think, anyway, obviously he wants to do it his way, and that's up to him. But don't say that it's a snub by the British press or something, or because it isn't. You've got to give, there's ways you have to operate, and that is getting visas to be a working journalist in the country. I can't just fly into America and start working as a journalist without an I visa. Otherwise, I technically am breaking the law. Mind you, there's a few visa things that have gone on in America with regard to Harry by the sound of it. But the reality is, you can own, you can't go there and just work and turn up as a journalist. You have to have a working journalist visa. And that takes apparently between 10 and 20 days.
And the idea that Harry and Meghan are going to utilize this to brand themselves a little bit more royal because they can get away with it. Do you believe that this is a PR opportunity for them for the
It's a
positive
PR
press?
opportunity for them. I don't think it is a royal tour, to be fair. It's not
Yeah.
like Edward and Mrs. Simpson going to Berlin pre the war and sort of sucking up to Nazi Germany. I mean, that's the different. That was done as a an unofficial royal tour by the late ex-king. I mean, that was a pretty disastrous thing, but dreadful what they did. But this is just. I think they're looking at Meghan's charitable work, her work with women, and I think there'll be the Invictus. And look, but it's not a royal tour, but it is going to be promoting what they do. And that's fair enough.
Are you at all surprised or disappointed because you've been in this cycle with me? In fact, we've been on screen together and had to debate the idea of Meghan Markle running for president one day. So the idea that we have, as the media, hyped up this person to the point of maybe being in the position of being in both. I think both you and I have said no way in hell will freeze over before Meghan Markle is president. But the idea that now we're talking about jam distribution to the 1% in Santa Barbara, were you a little disappointed by the fact that we went vote for Meghan, from all of a sudden vote for Meghan to who got the jam? I mean, isn't it a little defeating?
Maybe the Congress or Senate should run for. Who knows? I don't know. Um, I don't know what the levels are. I mean, but the president, I think you do is probably a big reach, isn't it? I mean, I don't. I really, it's it's a great story.
That's true. Well, I can't wait to read your book about Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Thanks for giving me that scoop. Hopefully, you'll come back and we can discuss that when it's out.
Yeah, it's coming out in the summer as Simon and Schuster are publishing in America, and I'm very proud of it. And hopefully, it'll tell the story. I probably disappoint some people because it actually talks about what she does and how she does it, rather than um, so much of the emotion and the scandals. But a couple of revelations in it, but it's really a biography of a woman who I think is a terrific servant to my country and a great ambassador too.
And researching her and spending all this time getting to know who she is, would you say you like her as a person?
I think you'd be really hard-pressed not to like her as a person, yeah.
That's so sweet. Well, Robert, thank you so much for your time today. You know I'm a very big fan of yours, and I've had so much fun gossiping with you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure.